Alright, what is the greatest trilogy in all of cinema? A lot of people will bring up the original Star Wars trilogy, The Lord of the Rings, The Godfather, or even Toy Story. But I'm not most people. And since I'm fresh off talking about the Iron Man trilogy, why not talk about this one? The Night at the Museum trilogy.
Oh my god!
Now it's been a while since anyone has seen these movies, so let's go over a quick refresher. The 2006 movie, Night at the Museum, stars Ben Stiller as Larry, who becomes a night guard at the Natural History Museum in New York City. He then finds out that there's a sacred Egyptian tablet that brings the museum and all of its exhibits to life. Some shenanigans happen, but at the end, Larry saves the day. The original 2006 movie is my favorite, and it by far stands out from the rest. It sets thematic tones for the other movies in such a beautiful way. Some themes include capitalism and how it affects individuals in society, the art of history and its importance, but the specific theme that I have in mind is love. Now look, I know it's not as pretentious or film bro as the other two themes, but at the end of the day, these are kids' movies. So, let me talk about some cliche bullshit. Now, each of these movies goes over the topic of love in a different way. So let's start with the first one. When we meet Larry, he's struggling to keep his life together and has no real foundation for himself. He's bouncing around from place to place, failing scheme after scheme, trying to find a way to make himself stand out, as most people do. However, he realizes that this is hurting his relationship with his ex-wife and his son. Realizing he can't continue his life like this, he gets a job as a security guard so he can provide and be a stable part of Nick's life as his dad. But then, the tablet starts bringing exhibits to life, and he wants to quit. But he gives it another shot as he sees his relationship with his son is starting to progress. Then, he starts to adapt. He becomes a proficient night guard and starts to get along with the different characters we see in these movies. With so much going well for him, he's happy with his job and wants to bring his son to share these great experiences. With everything going so well, all of a sudden, the magic tablet stops working, and he looks like a bum in front of his son. However, at the end of the movie, Larry continues his duties as a night guard and has this newfound love and appreciation for history. There's also this last-minute subplot about the old night guards coming back to steal the tablet, but who cares? They're not coming back for another movie. Overall, with this story, we see how Larry was a mess, but he was able to build his life back together because of the love he had for his son. And loving your son is great and all, but that's still pretty surface level. Like, come on, it's a kids movie, we should learn something. Like, for example, when he first got the job, I was expecting him to show a little bit of remorse for these old dudes that they were just basically kicking out, like he was taking their jobs. But he didn't care. He didn't care at all. And so, as much as he loves his son in this movie, he still has to learn how to love people outside of his inner circle. And so enter Rebecca. Rebecca is an exhibit guide at the museum who has a strong passion for history, and her relationship with Larry helps contribute to what he learns about love. While this is great and all, they kind of abandon her. Like, we don't see her for half the movie. She never returns. I thought she was gonna be like his girlfriend or something. But now a good example would be one of the first characters he ever interacted with, Theodore Roosevelt. And while in real life, I'm sure a lot of you remember Big Teddy as this peaceful activist who inspired so many as the 26th president of the United States. In this movie, he's a bit rougher around the edges, at least physically. He's still got that Robin Williams charm. Anyways, from what we see, this is from the Rough Riders era, a precursor to his stint as the president. This Roosevelt was a colonel in the Spanish-American War, where he was known for his bravery in leading the American troops. And while we reside over his bravery, this guy was just a little bit timid. In the movie, despite having this leadership role and fronting himself as a mentor, he shows he has a crush on Sacagawea and he's just too scared to talk to her. Another good example would be the miniatures, which consist of two big characters. That wasn't funny. First, we meet Jedediah Smith, played by Owen Wilson, And yes, Jedediah is actually a real person. I had no idea either, but just let me get into it. Jedediah was an American explorer and frontiersman known for his contributions to the exploration of the American West in the 19th century. In the movie, Jedediah's reasoning for the conflict with another character is summed up in 2 words.
It's manifest destiny. You can't fight it, neither can I.
Now, manifest destiny is the belief that the United States was destined to expand democracy and capitalism across the North American continent. As this relates to the movie, would cause territorial disputes, which leads me to the other miniature man, Gaius Octavian, more known as Augustus, historically known for founding the Empire of Rome. Also, he's the adopted son of Julius Caesar. Doesn't really have to do with anything, just a fun fact. And while Octavius is remembered for bringing peace and stability to Rome, they still like to expand their territory under his rule. So with the combination of Octavius's territorialism and Jedediah's manifest destiny, this would cause the conflict between the two. However, over the course of these 3 movies, they would become the biggest bromance, maybe more, which all began because of Larry's influence and their shared love for the museum and its exhibits. So overall, Rebecca helped Larry understand how to love history, which is, it's cool, you know? She's cool. That's all I gotta say. Teddy's bravery had an impact on Larry, and so that helped Larry push Teddy into asking out Sacagawea. And ultimately, Larry's love helped form one of the most iconic relationships in cinematic history. Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian. In this movie, Larry is now a successful entrepreneur and left his job as the night guard. Meanwhile, all of the friends he had previously made are being shipped off to the Smithsonian in DC. However, the tablet's owner, who I didn't even mention in the previous movie, Ahmed Ra, has a brother named Kamen Ra, who tries to steal the tablet and unleash an undead army to conquer the world. You know, just normal night guard duty stuff. Larry steps in, stops him, but this time with new friends, because it's a sequel. Oh yeah, and Larry takes all the money he made as an entrepreneur, donates it to the Natural History Museum, and becomes a night guard again. With the last movie focusing on Larry learning how to love others, this one is about Larry himself. How do you love yourself? When we are reintroduced to Larry, we see he's living large in his new life. But when the people he loves are in danger of being taken from him, he does everything he can to save them. A majority of this movie is spent away from the original cast in favor of new characters like Amelia Earhart and General Custard. Now, for those who don't know, Amelia Earhart, played by Amy Adams, is an aviator and one of the most well-known female pilots in history. More importantly, as a pioneer for women in the aviation field. She was a big advocate for women's rights, and so this movie takes all these great qualities and uses it to concentrate it into its grander message for Larry, the night guard. Throughout the film, they develop this confusing relationship.
Were you guys like friends in college and just afraid now to both ruin your relationship by telling the other person that you want to be more than friends, that you like each other?
One more time? I'm sorry, I didn't catch. What?
Were you guys like friends in college and now both afraid to ruin your relationship by telling the other person that you want to be more than friends, that you like each other?
Oh, no.
No? I just love the nitty-gritty of relationships, you know, all those French do.
Right?
Yes. Amor.
Now!
Anyways, throughout the film, we see her love for aviation and the pride she has in herself as a female pilot. While General Custer is the opposite. While in the first 5 minutes we see him, he carries himself as this brave and intelligible leader. Now, this is a facade, of course. It's an act that he puts on. In real life, the general is infamously known for the Battle of the Little Bighorn, or Custer's Last Stand. This event was when he foolishly led Americans to their defeat against the Native American forces due to his hubris. And so the movie takes this and kind of makes a mockery of it. When it's time for him to finally lead the charge in battle, he's nowhere to be found, hiding away in this self-pity. But ultimately, Larry picks him up with this great motivational speech about the importance of how a person should view themselves. And so, at the end of the movie, we see how Larry has learned self-love because he found himself being happier around family. And finally, we're on number 3 because it's a trilogy and there's no other movies. Now in the final movie, it's revealed that the tablet is beginning to deteriorate, but we soon learn that Akmanrah's parents may have the answer, and so a select few travel to the British Museum in London where his parents are on display. Like the previous films, that gives an opportunity for new characters to be brought to life by the tablet, giving us Lancelot. He ultimately believes that the tablet is the holy grail that he was on a quest for, and so he steals it away. Ultimately, they convince him to help and they fix everything, and at the end of it all, Larry becomes a school teacher as everyone parties without him. Also, Hugh Jackman is in this one.
Stay back! You don't scare me, huge Ackman.
Listen, mate, you don't want to fight me, all right? If we go, I will break you.
Come on!
What is that? What are you doing?
He's doing his Wolverine thing.
Yeah.
However, after all of those shenanigans, Akmanrah's parents want him to stay at the museum and want the tablet to stay with them. So in those last 40 minutes, it's kind of sad, really, because other characters like Teddy, Sacagawea, they kind of accept that if they're not with the tablet, they won't ever come back to life. And so everyone goes their separate ways, and it's really sad, actually. Anyways, have you guys ever heard of the saying, if you love them, then you should let them go? If you haven't, it essentially means that if you truly do love someone, then that love should extend to respecting their boundaries and freedom without you, putting their own happiness as the utmost importance. And that's essentially the way that love is portrayed in this third and final film. We began this trilogy with the understanding of the love and unconditional bond Larry had with his son Nick. Also, can we pause for a second? Why is Jimmy Olsen in my Night at the Museum movie? Skylar Gisondo just has one of those recognizable faces, but when someone asks, what have you seen him in? You just don't know, and this is one of those times. Like, I feel like 3 people have seen this movie. Anyways, let's get back to what I was talking about. We understand that Larry loves his son, and this film puts them at a crossroads. From the very start, we see Larry is willing to do whatever it takes to provide a better life for his son. And so, when Nick doesn't want to go to college, similar to his father, they come to a disagreement, and it's just a great and wonderful conclusion to this story about how love can evolve and change over time with its many different meanings and interpretations. This would be the case if this subplot didn't take a back seat with not that much development, and he's kind of just like, okay, yeah, do whatever you want, kid. But at the heart of every movie is the characters of history, and one character in particular who we haven't talked about is Dexter the monkey. Sorry, the capuchin, which is still a monkey. They just make a point in every movie that he's specifically a capuchin. No one cares. I'm calling him a monkey. She's called Crystal the monkey in real life. That's right, Dexter is a she. Anyways, when we first meet Dexter, he's a troublemaker. Tears up his to-do list on his first shift as night guard. He bites his nose, he pees on him all the time, and they just love to slap each other for some reason.
Good Lord, Lawrence, why are you slapping a monkey?
And so, in their final moments together, where Larry and the characters are about to part ways, it's just one-on-one with Larry and Dexter. He's talking about their complicated relationship and how they had this unnerving tension, but also a sense of mutual respect between the two. And so to end things off, Larry offers Dexter one last slap, but instead, the capuchin kisses him on the lips, and then Larry kisses him back. It is slight bestiality, but at the end of it all, this is Larry's true love, however you want to spin it. Closing off the trilogy about a man learning to love again.